everybody! So with Valentine's Day coming up, I wanted to do a quick video on love magic in general, targeted love spells, self-love spells, kind of my code of ethics that goes along with it all, and yeah, that's about it, really. So I've written down a couple key points that I want to hit. Let's hope that it takes up the 10 minutes. So I'm a witch for hire. I do magic for other people, and I know some of the people out here watching this are as well. So those folks probably know better than anybody else how badly people want love in their life. It's, man, I don't even know how to describe it. It is the most requested reading I get. It's the most requested spell I get. And it's the most requested advice I get, which I have no problem with. I really like love magic if it's done right. If it's not done right, it can lead to some serious issues. So I also want to talk about that because when I say serious, I mean serious. But I don't think that love is something you can magic. I don't do targeted love spells. I don't agree with them. I am not comfortable with them. I feel they cross a lot of social delicacy boundaries. I don't think they're particularly safe, especially when the vast majority of the time there's not consent involved from both parties. And that alone kind of takes you into some dicey territory on whether or not the spell you're doing is essentially akin to drugging someone at a bar. You take away that ability to say, no, I don't want this, and that's not fair. It's not okay. So I don't do targeted love spells. I don't agree with them. I think they're spooky, and they're honestly really dangerous. I know a few different people in my personal life that when they were younger had done targeted love spells, and the biggest story I can think of was a woman I used to be really close to. She had done a spell on her then boyfriend that became her husband, that became her ex-husband, that became her stalker. And unfortunately, that's really common with this, at least in my experience. Targeted love spells usually do something where they're done in the heat of the moment, and so without being incredibly conscious of what you're putting into the spell, what the results might be, what loopholes there are, you're walking on fire. It's not safe. So the vast majority of people I know who've done targeted love spells, and especially those who've actually ended up having them work, and have been in relationships with the people that they've done the spells on, whether it's a polyamorous relationship, any kind of relationship, even a friendship, they don't end well a lot of the time, in my experience. Again, this is all just from my experience over the last 15 years or so. It ends with either emotional abuse, physical abuse, stalking, or something way worse. I'm not kidding. I know this seems really extreme, but I'm telling the truth from my experience. So, rather than doing targeted love spells, you can do self-love spells. You can do spells that will attract specific people with traits that you want your ideal person to embody, whether it's a friend or a relationship. You can design a spell. The best example that's coming to mind is a rather recent movie called Practical Magic. I think it was maybe the late 90s, early 2000s, and I'm sure tons of you have seen it. But At one point, Sally, she's one of the sisters in it, she does the spell as a child to create the perfect man because she knows that he can't exist. Therefore, she cannot get her heart broken. But in the spell, she includes star-shaped flowers, and that's one green eye, one blue eye, I think. That's really all I remember. But later in life, when she's in her 30s and already has 2 kids and has this life for herself, she's faced with, her dream lover. He shows up. So that is a possibility. Something I think that is incredibly important when doing any sort of magic, but especially love magic, is knowing yourself. Know your boundaries, know what you're comfortable with, know what your likes and dislikes are, know what you want. And I know that sounds really easy, and you're like, duh, I know what it is. But you'd be surprised. Sometimes what you want and what you need are 2 different things, especially when it comes to a partner or a friend. There's a little bit of a gap a lot of the time. So that's something to really sit down, write down, and consider. Just an idea. Something else that I find incredibly valuable are self-love spells and learning to accept yourself, accept the flaws that you think you see. And the reason I word it that way is because the vast majority of the time, what you see versus what somebody else sees in you are 2 completely different things. They're not the same. They don't match up. So, with that being said, self-love spells. There's a quote, I can't remember who says it or if it's even attributed to anybody, that kind of goes with this in that it says, you can't love somebody else until you love yourself. While I don't agree completely with that, I get the sentiment behind it, and I think there's a little bit of truth and value to that. Without knowing yourself and accepting yourself and loving yourself, you're kind of setting yourself up for a little bit of failure. You can't put, how do I word this? You can't put the value you see in yourself and the worth you see in yourself in somebody else's hands because they may not always be there. And I know that is a harsh reality to hear, but take it from someone who thought that her partner would always be there. And now I'm single. So things change, and that's okay. Change can be really, really good. So don't get scared about that. Change is good. And in the same vein again, when you start working on yourself, things do change. They change around you. Sometimes your friend groups change. Sometimes your interactions with others change, whether you're more assertive or more calm. These are all things that happen. It's part of your evolution as a person. Let's see. So I suppose I'll just wrap this up because I'm at 9 minutes almost. So to go over key points again, now that I've rambled, I don't think that targeted love spells are okay because they take away someone's free will, for lack of a better phrase. They take away the ability for that person to say, no, I'm not comfortable with this. No, I don't want this. And while we all want love and companionship, targeted love spells are not the answer to that. Self-love spells and, just putting yourself out there. Sometimes when you're a magic practitioner, especially if you're just beginning or have only been doing it for a few years or however long, not here to judge, it's really easy to forget that you're still human and you need that human interaction. You can't force it. It's like doing a spell to get a job and not turning in an application. It doesn't work. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, to go meet new people, to talk to people, and to work on a relationship. You you have to, otherwise it won't work. It will fail. Um, let's see. Went over why not to do it, why to do it, because you want love, obviously. Self-improvement is huge. You have to believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. And I believe you can do it. And I believe in you. So, therefore, you've at least got one person on your side, right? Yeah. It's really, really easy to get down on yourself, especially when it comes to relationships. And relationships are not the end all be all. There are so many types of different intimacies that humans can experience. And it's important to allow yourself to be open to that, regardless of being scared of being vulnerable and, you know, not wanting to put the work in. You have to put the work in, otherwise it's not going to happen. Even if you cast a targeted spell, it won't happen if you don't send someone that text message or call them on the telephone, send them an email, meet up for coffee. It won't happen. And if it does happen, get ready. It's probably not going to be a great time. But yes, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Lillian of Silent Seance on Etsy, silentseance.com, Silent Seance on Facebook. That's a recent development. So feel free to follow, feel free to check out. Yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic Valentine's, and I'll probably talk to you next weekend. But keep this all in mind. Keep yourself safe, okay? Comment, like, subscribe, I guess. Thank you.